This is Chuck Johnson, and I'm here to show you! Yo, this is Chuck, and welcome to episode 15 of How to Defeat Dudes. Or, episode 1 of season 2, part 2. So for this episode, we're going to be continuing our discussion about how to deal with haymakers. In the last episode, we dealt with haymakers that are starting off square like this. In this episode, we're going to be dealing with haymakers where they step in like this to get a big, strong punch and a nice long step. So now, let's take a look at scenario 2. So for this scenario, you've got two dudes squared off, just like the last one, but they get into the pushing contest, right? So we're just sitting here, we're pushing each other like this, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, either I or Dean just steps in and just starts swinging while they're moving forward, okay? With this, here, just move back. So just this kind of stepping in and swinging, punching, okay? Again, this is something you see in fights all the time. So now, if Dean is actually stepping forward with these punches, then in that case, I'm going to have to take a huge step back in order to get out of the way of that punch. But he's still going to be faster because he's moving forward and I'm moving backwards. So in that case, moving back isn't your best option. So let us take a look at what is. So now, Dean, would you mind taking a step out for a sec?
Sure.
Okay. Well, thanks, buddy. Okay, so now just to show you guys the difference in how much distance is covered between just a standing haymaker and a stepping in haymaker, I'm going to show you both. I'll show you one at a time. Okay? So from here, standing haymaker. Next, stepping in haymaker. So as you can see, the distance for a stepping in haymaker is way longer. So in that case, even if you can move fast enough, it's still really, really hard to avoid that by stepping back. So you're not going to want to step back. So what you're going to want to do instead is go under. So going under is actually a really good tactic for a number of situations. One is for when your back is up against a wall, or you're up against a bar or something like that, so that you don't have the option of going back. So going under is also a really good strategy for when you notice the punch at the very last second. Okay? Just like when I was prompting Dean at the beginning of the show to try and punch me as hard and as fast as he could. If you'll notice, in that case, I didn't try and go back, I just went under it, because sometimes it's just a little bit faster. So from here, as Dean punches, what I'm going to do is as he comes in, again, I've got a guard, and I'm going to go under and to the outside. So if you guys notice, as I go under, I don't just go laterally, I also move forward with it. One more time. Boom. So now there's a myriad of reasons that you want to go forward and to the outside. So one is if Dean punches, here there isn't half as much force behind the punch as all the way out here. So if I'm forward, even if I got caught in his arm or something, it's not going to hurt anywhere near as much than if I clip his fist. The other reason is that going under like this, from here, if you'll notice, I've neutralized the other arm, because from here he'd have to completely change position to hit me with the other arm. So that's another one. And then also at this point, he doesn't have any kind of a guard. So I could go right there, I could go to the back of his head. From there, boom, I could take out his leg, or I can just push him and run. You've got all kinds of options. Now, if Dean throws that punch, and I try to duck this way, then if I'm not fast enough, even if I duck down, boom, he's just going to clip me anyway. And then he's also going to be in a position where he can hit me with the other one. Okay? So you always want to go to the outside so you can get out of the way of the other arm, and then also neutralize his defense. I'll show that one more time. From here, boom, here. And then, like I said, option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4, push and run away. So as Dean comes in with his big punch, I go under, option 1, boom, elbow while I'm moving forward anyway. Okay, another option, I could come up, boom, and then elbow down on the back of his head. Or 3, I could go for the back of his knee, boom, take that out, and then run. Like that. So now in Dean's case, as he's throwing that punch, he's doing more of a boxing style one where he's stepping in with the opposing leg that he's throwing the punch from. And that's fine, because the technique still works just as well with that. And actually, it opens up a few different options as well. Okay? So if someone steps in with a big move like this, then you can actually do a lot of techniques going to take out that leg. One option could be a single leg takedown like this. And if you wanted to get really fancy, then you could go for the classic Taekwondo style foot sweep like this. In which case, what you're going for is hitting the ankle as the front foot is stepping down and the weight is going onto this leg. You just knock the ankle out right there as you're doing it. Or another option might even be the capoeira style compasso. In which case, if you're here, as the punch is coming, you do like this to let the punch go over. And then from there, you just use that torque in that position to just whip the leg up like that. And then you blast them in the face with it. So now guys, the reason that I'm not endorsing all these other options as the first option is simply because they're overly complex answers to a relatively simple problem. And that is that a punch is coming and you need to move. So it's much easier to just move or move than to do some kind of big whole body motion or something that requires a complex follow-up. If you just move, then whenever you need to, you have the option of running. If you take them to the ground or if you go down with them, then you still have to figure out what to do next from there. So when you have the chance, it's always better to just get out of the way, create a space, and then run. Or as I always say in every single one of my videos, just don't get into a fight in the first place. Okay, so now let's have Dean try it. So now I'm gonna step in. All I want you to do, go under me. Okay, so I step in, boom, and he goes under. Okay, one more time, step in, boom, he goes under. I'm gonna start from a little bit farther back. And from here, step in, boom, and under. And now, after you do that, I want you to do something else, okay? Could do elbow. You could elbow me here as you're coming in. Go for the back of the knee as you like. Okay? You ready? Boom. Okay? One more time. Boom. Okay? One more. Boom. Okay. Just remember, as you're going under, even as you're going under, make sure you have a guard around your head just in case you get clipped by accident, okay? Anytime you move, you always want to have a guard. Just like anytime you punch, if one punch is going out, the other guard comes up. If this one's going out, other guard comes up. Always, always, always keep a guard as you fight, okay? So the last time I was actually hit with a haymaker, it was during a sparring match with this Japanese guy who had deltoids that just looked like grapefruits, man. They were huge. And when he connected, it just knocked the absolute crap out of me. And you know, I stumbled back and everything, and it didn't knock me out. But really, the only reason that I was okay was because it was during a boxing match, and the guy happened to be a nice guy. So he didn't track in after that. You know, had that been in a street situation where I might have fallen down and hit my head, or had he just been a really ruthless kind of guy who just wanted to pound me to death, then that might not have been something that I could have walked away from. So my point is absolutely don't let somebody hit you with one of these things. Get out of the way. So guys, that's it for today. As with anything that I show you guys, if you really, really want it to work, you absolutely have to train it. So please take these techniques home and then train. Get with your friends, practice with the homies, whatever, but train it. Okay? This is Chuck, and hope to see you next time. The last time I was actually hit with a haymaker was during a boxing match with a friend. So the last time I was actually hit with a haymaker, it was during a sparring match with this. So the last time I was actually hit with a haymaker, it was during a sparring match with this Japanese guy who had shoulders that just looked like deltoids. They look like deltoids, man. Deltoids, dude.
They had hands that look like fists.